Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. In this video, I want to read a bit about from an article that Benjamin Creme's master wrote about the Masters. And it's entitled The Masters Emerge. And it was written in December of 1996. So a little while ago, but from the Masters' point of view, just about, I don't know, a couple days ago. They see time much differently than you and I do. But it says, The Masters Emerge. The vanguard of Masters in their various cities and focal points are preparing themselves for immediate emergence into the open arena of the world. The time has arrived for their acknowledged participation in the affairs of men. They know, too, that their task is not an easy one. Each master is a man, but has long outgrown the human state of consciousness with its limitations and illusions. They understand well the suffering which these limitations and illusions confer on man, and seek in every way to alleviate their lot. They, too, in their long sojourn on the path as simple men, knew well and keenly felt that same self-anguish. But now they must work with men as equals, tackling together the myriad problems which beset men's lives. This they must do in such a fashion that the free will of men is not infringed, aiding and blessing with their energy and insight each tentative plan put forth by humanity itself. They await with ardor the challenge of this enterprise, firm in the conviction of its eventual success. When men see their elder brothers, they will see too their birthright, witness their divine heritage. Each man is a master in the making. Not do we have or know, but which one day all will achieve. We are yourselves gone before. This being so, we can act as a light to guide your way and to prevent many false steps or wrong turnings. The time is now upon us all when men and the masters will meet and begin their mutual task, the transformation and rehabilitation of the world. Whether men know it or not, we, your elder brothers, have for long been at your service. Little there is in the multicolored fabric of man's experience which has not felt the caring hand of our brotherhood. Little is there in the long history of man's discoveries and achievements which owes nothing to our inspiration and guidance. Thus have we sought to teach and to protect, until such time as man can travel the path alone. From now, in your midst shall we openly work to create with you the new civilization, conferring on you the benefits of our long experience. Much time and heartache can be saved, therefore, by this, our mutual endeavor. First, you will see our master, Maitreya the great Lord. Then shall we reveal ourselves one by one, until all the vanguard are known by name. Gradually, as circumstances permit, yet more of our brothers will add their weight to the work of succor, the salvaging of the planet, the restoration of the plan. Now, one point I want to talk about with this article, a couple things. First, I don't know if it inspires you the same way it does me, but when I read Benjamin Creme's master's articles, how I'm struck by the depth, but yet the simplicity of his words. It's like listening to Mozart's music, how simple some of his pieces were, but yet they're just perfect. You know what I mean? Like looking at, the Leonardo da Vinci's The Mona Lisa, being a painter myself, and how simple that painting is, but yet how you can't really add to it or detract to it. I know a funny side note, there was a Mr. Bean, if you're familiar with that comedian, and skit where he sneezes on the Mona Lisa and then tries to wipe it off, and it takes some of the paint off, and then he tries to put like this little stick figure face on there. It's kind of funny, but anyway, if you see it on YouTube, it's hilarious. But you can't really add to the Mona Lisa to make it better. You can't add a note into Mozart's paint and in Mozart's music to make it better. And with Benjamin Creme's Masters articles, it's kind of the same way. I mean, how can you really add anything to it? The only thing I can do is just kind of emphasize a few points that I wanted to talk about in this video. But the one that I wanted to talk, or one of the ones I wanted to talk about, it said, whether men know it or not, we, your elder brothers, have for long been at your service. Little there is in the multicolored fabric of men's experience which has not been felt by the caring hand of our brotherhood. They save us all the time from accidents. They send healings as much as they can within karmic limits to the person to help them out. Now, the masters know that disease and death are nothing to be feared. So a lot of times it's better to just let the disease run its course, and whether that means the person dies or not, they see the long term. They don't see the short term suffering. They see what the benefits of that disease, because there are benefits to diseases whether we're aware of it or not. And it does help the person eventually get through a lot of the ancient thought forms and crystallized illusions that they might have. It helps get them through it and change their perspective on things, which is what the masters are looking for anyway. So the masters don't see one lifetime. They see all the lifetimes that we have in the past, the one that we're dealing with now, and then far into the future. So they might say, okay, well, it's better just to let, so-and-so just kind of suffer through it temporarily, knowing that in the future they'll be better off, right? But the other thing, too, is it said, where is it? Little is there in the long history of men's discoveries and achievements which owes nothing to our inspiration and guidance. Now, it's interesting if you look historically at several inventors. Okay, one that I want to talk about is Alexander Graham Bell, right, who invented the phone. I don't know if you knew this or not. I remember hearing about this in middle school, but there was actually somebody in another country, I believe, who put the patent in for the phone, and it looked almost exactly the same, right, as his invention the next day after he put it in. I mean, so, and it's happened more than once. So it's not just the phone. It's happened in different inventions and stuff like this, and different ideas and inspirations happen within mere moments of somebody else hearing it. And so what happens is these masters put the idea, the inspired idea for an invention or a scientific discovery, for instance, a medical cure maybe, and into what they call the mind belt, where it's almost like the internet, but on the mind, mentally. It's like an organic process. It's not a computer program, right? But they put the idea out there, and then whoever's kind of sensitive to that idea, if they're a scientist, who's already kind of working on that kind of plan, will pick up on that idea and run with it. And so we don't, as a humanity, we're so competitive with one another, right? So we're more competing against the other person, trying to get that idea in there, versus working together cooperatively to come up with an even better, phone, right? I mean, or better this or better that, or especially in terms of medicine, right? Very competitive, right? So rather than coming up with an actual cure for AIDS or cancer or whatever, they are kind of working against one another. And so these masters, when they put those ideas out there, somebody in Russia, a scientist in Russia might pick up on the idea, and the scientist in America or in France might pick up on an idea or so forth. And they come up with it almost at the same time. Now, one of Maitreya's priorities, which is already in place, the internet, he talked about the internet and put it as a priority back in the mid-'80s. So this was before the internet. So it's not like, to use the term, a rooster taking credit for the dawn, where he's, the internet was already invented, and he's, that's one of my priorities. It's not that. I mean, the Son of Man, which was published in Share International, was published a long time before the internet was even in its infancy. And it is one of the like I said, it's the priority that's really only fully functional out there now. It's not perfect, right? And so the masters are going to clean that whole thing up. But the one of the ways the masters are going to work in the future, rather than relying on the mind belt, they'll be inspiring the ideas for people to come together on the internet. So a scientist in America can talk to a scientist in Australia, who can talk to a scientist in India or Japan or something like this, to come up with an invention or a discovery on some level, and that's really the way that it's going to work in the future. And so rather than, the Japanese scientist or inventor working in competition and with the American inventor, they'll be working together. And so the whole thing will pick up, and a lot, like he talks about how, the human suffering and stuff, which competition leads to suffering in a lot of ways, right? In a lot of ways. But one of the things that it does is it purposefully limits our expression. And so when people start to cooperate, which these masters will teach us how to cooperate, but also the energies of Aquarius are going to be inspiring us to be more cooperative, you'll see that the inventions that and the discoveries will come a lot quicker. But, and as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.